Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Broken Quill. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? That's a complicated question and involves a long story of how I got to this point in my life. You see, as a storyteller, I can't think of this in any other way, and so I shall tell my story here in some hope that it will give you some insight as to what this channel is going to be. I must admit, I'm new to YouTube. This is my first video. I have little knowledge of the algorithm or marketing in general. I also admit I have little care for such matters. What I do care about is writing. It is my passion. It has always been my passion despite the ups and downs. I am oft called too passionate. Maybe they're right. Maybe that's not a bad thing. But who am I? Readers want to connect with the author, and if you flip to the back of one of my books, you will read James A. Moores is a science fiction author from Newfoundland, Canada. He works in the legal field, but has been writing his entire life. He lives with his wife, his Gerberian Shepsky dog, and ginger cat in Ontario, Canada, where he continues to write. This may be enough for you to feel that connection, and so you may be satisfied with that and accept it. But if your curiosity is piqued, you may have questions. Why did this science fiction author from an island on the coast of North America with a hybrid German Shepherd Husky dog start a YouTube channel? Why should I listen to him talk about the craft of writing? What does he know that I don't? What might he have to say I might find interesting? Maybe everything, maybe nothing. But if I've stirred your interest, dear reader, and if you will indulge me a story, I shall try to answer at least one of these questions. You know, the best advice I ever received on writing is to take all advice on writing with a grain of salt. Before I begin my tale, I will preface this by advising you to take anything I say with a grain of salt. I will do my best to say what I need to say. It will be a mixture of truth, lies, fabrications, facts, and falsehoods. In a word, fiction. I hope that something I say in this series and on this channel helps you to become a better writer. I hope it will inspire you. And if you find something here that gives you the drive to write and push through any naysayers or snapping dogs that hound you, then I have done my job. If I do not, feel free to disregard whole cloth what I have to say. Death of the author. You know, the best advice I ever received on writing is to start at the beginning and only tell the most interesting story of your main character. I will do neither here. Instead, I will start by saying that I always wanted to be an author. I know, dear reader, starting into the tropes already, but please forgive your humble narrator who begs only a few more moments of your time. I admit that this is neither interesting nor the beginning. Frankly, I don't remember where this desire to craft began. I simply know that as long as I have been able to, I've always enjoyed telling stories. Not always original ones. I will never claim genius, skill, nor ability. As a child, I wrote simple stories. I wrote as a teen the dreaded specter of fan fiction. I wrote a role-playing game, created universes, made my characters dance as puppets on broken strings. I listened to their voices and acted as their loyal servant bard in repeating their adventures. When the time came, I went to university and studied the craft. English literature at the Ivory Tower, Shakespeare, Keats, Yeats, Alexander Pope, Melville, Atwood. British authors, Canadian authors, American authors. I studied British literature through the ages, Canadian poetry, American adventure. Years steeped in search of what it meant to write good fiction, to tell stories of truth, to impassion the heart and draw out the true meaning of the universe, and then distill it down to the vial of such glowing, gleaming stuff that it would nourish the world for 1,000 years. I received my degree and then wrote my great Canadian novel. It was terrible, monstrous. Maybe there was something there, but it was not good. Bad characters, overthought plot, metaphors that would shatter glass if you repeated them aloud. Atrocious. It was also too short. Suffice it to say, it did not go to publication. So I did what so many failed writers before me have done. I got a haircut and got a real job. You know, the best advice I ever received on writing was to only mention, describe, show, or tell things that are absolutely necessary. Remove needless things. If you mention an ambulance in Chapter 1, it must carry off the main character in Chapter 9. I shall continue ignoring this advice here. Apologies for this interlude, gentle reader. This is becoming a tad self-indulgent. I shall waste no more of your time, and if you will allow me a moment more, I shall continue my tale with no further interruptions. After many years, a fellow writer told me I should pick back up my grievously broken quill and start writing again. So I did, and I wrote a novel, and I just kept going. Upon further prodding, I was told that I should publish. So I submitted to an innovative publishing house named Beetle Books, and much to my surprise and elation, I was accepted. I became an author. This leads us to today. This long, rambling story is here to tell one single thing. It doesn't matter what advice you get. Some are only looking for the next big thing, and if you write for them, you give them stories they want and the characters they want, you will have at least a modicum of success, if not an entire train. If that is your writing, then you are beautiful. It is not your writing. If you go it alone, self-publish, create art, create strength and beauty, you may still have at least a modicum of success, if not an entire train. No one can predict what will be popular. No one can predict what will be successful, a sentiment oft repeated by those that told the Beatles they could not play music or J.K. Rowling that she could not write. This was my story. Your story is yours. My meandering way to publication will not be yours, so take solace in that. I am not here to tell you how to be published. That is not something I nor anyone else can truly do. Good tips, perhaps, a guidebook, maybe, but not promises. I will promise nothing. What I can do is give you a space where we can talk about what it means to be writers, what it means to create, what it means to live. So if I'm not here to tell you how to be published, what am I here for? Why am I doing this? It has been a meandering road we have traveled together, hasn't it, humble reader? In my time wandering the wastes of YouTube, I have listened to published authors, commenters, and talking heads of every stripe, former agents, publishers, locksmiths of the industry. I have listened to those who speak with authoritative voices, giving good advice, giving bad advice, talking about what they think makes a good writer. I have disagreed with a lot of them, and I feel there's a place missing in this conversation. A lot of what I would have liked someone to have told me about writing, about storycraft, about what it means to be a writer, I have not found. They say, if you can't find what you want to read, then write it. So I'm going to do that here. But I can only hope. You know, the best advice I ever received on writing is to write for yourself. I shall follow that advice here. If you join me, most noble reader, honorable writer, then welcome. We will discuss storycraft, characters, theme, plot, emotive writing, poetry, games, movies, television, short fiction, long fiction, epic fiction, fantasy, science fiction, drama, the giants of our era. Sometimes these will be singular talks, sometimes debates, discussions, and sometimes rants. Stream of consciousness, eat your heart out. I will end with a quote from the second foreword to Stephen King's seminal on writing. Most books about writing are filled with bullshit. Fiction writers, present company included, don't understand very much about what they do, not why it works when it's good, not why it doesn't when it's bad. You know, the best advice I ever received on writing is from Mr. Stephen King. Write a lot, read a lot. In the end, I think that's all the advice you truly need. And if you'd like a pinch more, if you'd like to join me and Craig for some discussions on writing, craft, story, and whatever random thing that crosses our minds, you're always welcome here at The Broken Quill. Thank you most kindly. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I look forward to seeing you here again.